So maybe you follow me on Instagram and you are following my journey, or maybe you've been watching my videos and you notice the little comments I make about my physical TBR. If you have, you might have noticed that I've been on a little mission to get rid of the 94 books on my physical TBR. And so when my boss told me to enjoy my long weekend, and I was like, wait, I have 3 days off with no plans and nothing to do, immediately I knew that I was going to embark on a challenge to read as many books as possible in 3 days. And here's how it went. Hello, pals. I just made myself a yummy quesadilla. It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. Amen. I made this quesadilla at home with a little bit of onion, a little bit of tomato, a really buttery and crunchy tortilla, and then on the side I have a little bit of like chopped avocados that I seasoned with salt and this like raspberry vinaigrette that I got at a farmer's market. Oh, so good. And Waffle is dying for me to give her a piece. I give you a little piece of avocado that has no seasoning. Eat it. Yummy. Me avocado. Okay, she wants me to put her down so she can eat. Okay, now that that's over, I'm starting this off with And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I actually started like 2 hours ago. So I picked up this book a couple days ago and then I put it down. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I started on page 52 of this mystery novel by Agatha Christie. It's about these 10 people who are summoned basically by someone named UN Owen, aka Unknown. And so the 10 people are summoned to the island, and then there's these two like servants there, but otherwise they're the only people on this island. And then they essentially are all accused of murder, every single one of them, and then they start to die off one at a time. And basically it's like, are they gonna survive? Is anyone gonna survive? Who's killing them all? Why? What's going on? And honestly, I feel like a thriller, like my explanation is always, yeah, and then everyone starts dying. But in this one, they actually do. So, that's fun for me. So yeah, this is what we're gonna read today, and we'll see. So far, so right now I have made it up to page 82 in this book, and I'm just like, I don't know. At first I was like, am I too dumb to understand this book? I feel like I always do really bad with books that are like written, like that are not modern books, just because I have a hard time grasping like older English, which is crazy because I'm literally an English major, but it'd be like that, right? Like, let's just be honest. So yeah, but now that we're just like getting into the action, there's a lot of just like dialogue. The pages are literally so like easy to get through, and I'm flying through it more, and I'm understanding a bit more. I mean, I'm understanding that like people are dying, so that's all that matters, right? We'll see. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 10:49 p.m.
It has not even been 2 hours since we last spoke. I am like only halfway through this book. I don't know what it is about this book. It's also like not even that bad. I think I'm just like so tired. Like I was laying here fighting for my life. But I'm determined. I'm determined. I started late today, so I'm not going to be upset about it. By it, I mean the fact that I've only read one book today, or half of one. But I am determined to finish this one book tonight. That being said, the one thing I do like about this book is that I think that, so there's a little like poem at the beginning, and also like it comes out through the book, and I think it's so interesting how the poem coincides with some of the things that are going on in the story. It just gives it a little extra element of je ne sais quoi. I don't know. That's really the only thing I'm enjoying about this book, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like at this point, I'm just kind of skimming, hoping that I could be done already. I'm not having a good time. The bad news is I fell asleep last night and I did not finish. And then there were none. I don't think I read that much, actually. I like immediately fell asleep. And I did wake up today like around 7. I was like, I'm gonna read a little bit before I get up or do anything, and at some point I fell asleep again for like 5 hours. So now it is 11 a.m. and most of the day is gone, and that is so infuriating because I haven't even read one book. And this is why I never excel at 24-hour readathons or anything like that, because I always fall asleep, which is weird because like on a regular day when I'm not trying to read for 24 hours, I don't fall asleep that often and I can finish a book. But apparently that's not in the cards for me. So I also think it doesn't help that like I'm kind of really hating this book. Like it's not a good mystery at all, I don't think, because there's like literally no clues as to who it is. Like all the characters are walking around like trying to figure out who it is and trying to eliminate each other, but none of them can eliminate anyone because no one has an alibi. Everyone was like, oh, by themselves for hours on end, so we can't tell whether they were the murderer or not because we're all equally as potentially guilty. There's also no like red herring, and every time you think it's gonna be someone, or like there finally is like maybe a hint of a clue that it might be them, then that person dies, and then it's not them, obviously, because they just got killed. So that's like already. Plus I also think it's like kind of really unrealistic. I mean, it gets better later on, but like there is a long period of time where like the characters are so unfazed by these murders. Like they're like sitting and chatting about it, trying to figure out who it is, obviously. But for me, it's like if people are dying around me, like I'm gonna be in a panic. I'm gonna be hysterical. But like my good sis is sitting there like knitting a freaking sweater or something. It's very strange. They're so unfazed by these murders. So, anyways, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go do the things that you do in the morning, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. We're outside, the sun is shining, it's warm, but there's a little breeze. Life is good. Hopefully the music that some people decided to just start playing right next to me isn't too loud, so I don't get copyrighted or you can't hear me. But I started reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and look how beautiful this version of the book is. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Wow.
And I don't even need to gatekeep because they're sold out. So this is the Nerdy Ink version, and I am obsessed. Like, it's shiny, it has like the foil, sprayed edges, everything, and it's illustrated. So obviously you all are going to get a little B-roll because these illustrations are beautiful. I'm so obsessed. I actually just got this in the mail yesterday. I ordered it like 3 months ago, kind of forgot about it, but then remembered like 2 days ago and was like, weird. And then today it came. So I'm gonna read it immediately, and I will show you guys some of the pictures, but I am 1 chapter in and I'm already like obsessed with this book. I was already obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. I love like the checkered, the patterns, like the whole aesthetic of the movie, but I also always see quotes of Alice in Wonderland like all over the internet that I think are so like quirky and funny, and I just am obsessed with the entire like aesthetic, vibe, atmosphere, everything of this book, everything. And I'm reading it and I'm only 1 chapter in, but so far I'm already loving it. This one part that I want to read you, it says, so she's like at the part where she's eating the pound cake. Also, I realized I didn't tell you what Alice in Wonderland is about. If you don't know, please introduce me to the rock that you've been living under, because what? But in case that you do live under said rock, Alice in Wonderland is a girl, Alice, who sees a little white rabbit pull out a pocket watch from his coat, and she's like, that's strange, and runs after him. He goes into a rabbit hole and she follows him down it and finds herself in Wonderland, which I feel like that was a great description, and we're gonna leave it there. Things obviously get magical and interesting, and right now I'm at the part where she's eating like the pound cake that makes her grow, and she says, she ate a little bit and said anxiously to herself, which way, holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing, and she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, this generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing but out-of-the-way things to happen that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in a common way. Isn't that funny? Like, just to be sure, that's what usually happens when you eat cake. You stay the same size. Okay. Now that I'm done laughing by myself in a park, I'm going to continue reading, and I will show you all some of the really beautiful illustrations in here as I go. It is 5:50 p.m. and I just finished Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I didn't read Through the Looking Glass yet. I know it's taking me forever, but I had to lay around and enjoy the sun and all that jazz. But I must leave the park for 2 reasons. One, because I don't know if you could hear it, but there's a crying child, and it was okay for a while, but like 3 hours of It's just not it. Like, I could not focus. And the other reason is that I ordered sushi to my house. And I'm so excited, and it should be here in a few minutes. So I'm gonna go upstairs and wait for it. And oh my God, there's a fly in my eye. Oh, that was spooky. Yeah, these insects are crazy. I can't wait for fall so they can crawl back to HE double hockey sticks where they came from. But all right.
You want my sushi so bad. You can't have sushi. It's not for bunnies. Oh, find something to give you. Bonjour. Well, your girl started watching Alice in Wonderland last night. And then I paused because I realized, so I was watching the original version and I realized, well, I kind of realized it myself that when I started reading Through the Looking Glass, that some of the aspects in the movie were from Through the Looking Glass and not just Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Because Through the Looking Glass is like the second book. It's like a continuation. But when I started watching it, they also said that, like, directly, that it was an adaptation of both Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. They kind of like combine the two, which I never knew because I had never read the books, and that was a little bit surprising to me. But I kind of paused because what they do in the movie is that they combine the two books together into one movie, and it's not necessarily like a continuation, but some aspects of Through the Looking Glass are directly inside Alice's like journey in the movie. So I paused the movie so I could continue reading Through the Looking Glass and finish it before I finished the movie, and then I fell asleep. I also didn't know that the Johnny Depp version of Alice in Wonderland actually has a second movie called Through the Looking Glass. So I'm hoping to watch those as well. Although I'm so behind on like reading things in this video that I don't know if it would be a good idea to watch that now. But I'm probably gonna do it anyways. So yeah, I just finished this morning. Again, I woke up and just kind of laid in bed before like getting up and finished Through the Looking Glass. I'm counting it as 2 books because they're 2 books. That's it. That's all I have to say. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, I gave 3.5 stars. I thought it was like really funny and interesting and quirky, and I just loved it. And then Through the Looking Glass, I don't know, it was also funny. Like, I love like the nonsense like that Lewis Carroll puts in these books, because like they don't make sense, but they actually do. Like, if you think about it, they make sense. Even though they like defy the laws of like life. But like for example, the Red King asks Alice, like, did you see anyone in the woods? And she was like, I saw nobody. And he was like, wow, you must have good eyesight to see nobody. And it just, I don't know. Then they went into this whole thing about like, well, the messenger must be the fastest person in the woods because he got here first. And Alice is like, well, nobody got here first. And then he's like, well, then I guess he's not as fast as nobody. It doesn't make sense, but it does. Moving on. I gave it 3 stars though, because I think Through the Looking Glass had some parts of it that I was just like, okay, I'm a little bit too confused here. So 3 stars. Steve. I have a long-winded story to explain why I have that song stuck in my head, but let's start with what I've been up to the last few hours, aka most of the day. I started reading Ooh. I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. And this is not the cover. The cover's right there. But obviously I had to take it off because it's, you know, whatever. So this book, I actually started on page 84 and now I'm on page 152. This is about a girl named Shara Wheeler who kisses Chloe Green, Smith, and some guy named Rory. So she kisses them all and then leaves them these like hints in these little pink envelopes and then disappears. So essentially they are kind of following the clues in her little pink notes and hoping to find her as a result of it. Honestly, I kind of had to put this book down for a bit because I just felt like it was, I don't know, I needed a break from it. I wasn't having a good time. So I actually a few days ago, I read the first chapter of a couple of books and decided on reading this one. It just seemed like the most interesting. The first chapter really gripped me. However, I was reading it and it was just like so cringe. The characters are very young and they speak in like the slang of like how people speak nowadays. I don't know. I don't speak that way, and so just reading it was like really cringy and it was like taking me aback. Also, Rory and Smith, they have beef in this book and I don't know, it just kind of felt like unexplained, like it kind of came from nowhere. Like we knew why they were not getting along, but it felt almost like forced at first. Like they were just arguing for no reason at all. So I put the book down and then I tried to pick up this book, Ghost Boy by Martin Pistorius, which is supposed to be about a boy who he's like awake and alert and aware in his body, but he can't move or like control anything at all. So people think that he is in a vegetative state. However, he's not. And it's supposed to be his story. However, I tried reading it and I couldn't get into the writing style, unfortunately, which sucks because I was really hoping to get through this, but I don't think I could. So I stopped reading Ghost Boy. I DNF'd it for good. And I picked up The Only One Left by Riley Sager. So this book is supposed to be kind of a retelling of Lizzie Borden from my understanding. So if you don't know, Lizzie Borden is actually a real girl who was thought to have murdered her family. And there's this whole nursery rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And when she realized what she'd done, she gave her father 41. I don't know, spooky, scary skeletons. So anyways, in this book, there is a woman, something Hope, Miss Hope. I don't know what her first name is. Lenora Hope. Lenora Hope has her own little like jingle, like Lizzie Borden. Everyone believes that she killed her family of 3. And now Kit, who I read like 4 chapters and couldn't figure out if this was like what their gender was. And now I realize it's a woman, but does that tell you enough about the fact that Riley Sager writing a woman is maybe not it? It's just not resonating. Anyways, it's okay. I kind of like that there's like a little jingle. I like that there is direct reference to Lizzie Borden. So Kit is essentially moving into Lenora's home to be her caregiver now that she's older, and obviously spooked out by the fact that she, you know, may or may not have murdered her family when she was 17. And that's as far as I know. I actually only gathered that basically from reading the book because I don't like to read the synopses of thriller books before I go into them. So I'm actually 51 pages into this book already. And then I put it down. For what reason? I don't know. And I decided to come back to, I guess, Shara Wheeler. And that's where we are right now. I was reading a part and Rory and Smith were fighting again. And one of the characters is talking about how it's supposed to be me and Shara, and instead it's always me and Shara and you. And I read that and immediately was like, it's me and you and you and me and my friend Steve. Steve. So that was a very long-winded explanation, but here we are. And I don't know if this is what I'm gonna continue reading, or if I will read the only one left, or maybe pick up both of them and confuse you all. But I just haven't decided. I'm in like a weird mood. I think the only reason why I got like super motivated to finish this book is because I realized how far into it I actually am, and the end feels near. That's not a good reason to finish a book, but this is where we are, okay? Been home for 3 days straight, and I just could not take it anymore. Also, do I look like I caught a tan yesterday at the park? I feel like I look like I did. Wow. Anyways, I came to Barnes & Noble. In this Barnes & Noble is like a little bit far away, but it is so worth it. It's so beautiful. There's like a little fire pit outside, and there's a cafe. They sell food. I've never been to a Barnes & Noble like this before. Like, it literally has its own like restaurant, and it's ginormous and has like outdoor space and everything. So I think I'm going to...
You've arrived at your destination.
Thanks, GPS. I think I'm gonna just sit here and maybe work on my journal and read a little bit. I want to finish I Kissed Shara Wheeler before I go home. I have like maybe like 6 chapters. What's frustrating me is that these chapters are like 20 pages long. I tried to make it a vibe where I finish a book every morning before I get up from bed, right? Because that's what I've been doing. So I sat in bed this morning and I tried to like read a little bit of Shara Wheeler, and I just couldn't do it. Like, the chapters are just too long. Even though, like, I will say that it did get more interesting. The problem with this book is like there's no like motive. I don't know how that like, I can't think of any reason why this girl would just choose to go missing, and there is no like indicator of why she would either. And there's also like no indicator of why like these people would be following the clues and wanting to find her, other than like her boyfriend, obviously, because that's her boyfriend. But the other two, like, I don't know. If a girl kissed me and then handed me some clues, like, maybe I would go like out of sheer curiosity. But other than that, like, there's just, I don't know, it's weird. And I'm like, I really want to know, girl, like, why did you go? Because like, that's not something that normal people do, but everything else here feels normal. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. I'm like dragging my way through this book. I'm so close to the end, like so close. Oh my gosh. So I actually had the cutest day ever. Oh my gosh, Waffle is like, hey girl. I ended up going to Barnes & Noble. I had like a whole stack of books that I thought I was gonna buy. And then I said, wait girl, you literally are so close to finishing your physical TBR. Let's not ruin it by adding so many more. So I sat in a little corner for like 2 hours and read the first chapter of every book, and I came home with only 2. progress. And then I went and I sat down in these comfy, cute little couches with this, oh my goodness, girl. She's literally, hello, get down. What's wrong with you? She thinks I'm eating. That's why, because this is the dining table. Wow, Waffle just accidentally ended the video. She tried to lick the camera with her nose, but I ended up sitting in these like comfy, cute little chairs right next to like the outdoor patio at Barnes & Noble. And I ordered a sandwich that was really good, and I, had a nice calm little day trying to read this book, and it literally took me all day because this book is just like, there are so many opportunities for this book to end, and my good sis did not take any of these opportunities. It is literally a travesty, like tragic, truly. First of all, the whole book is about, they're like looking for these clues to find the girl, right? And then they find the girl. That's an opportunity to end the book. But no, they want to continue further, and everyone wants to come out of the closet. They want to ruin a couple people's lives, and then you would think it would be over. But no, it's not. And now there's like this whole countdown to graduation at like the top of each of the chapters. I'm like, okay, fine. We're going to make it to graduation. So we make it to graduation. Graduation is over, and you think, here's another opportunity to end the book, right? There's still another 2 chapters. Like, why? Why? You know that meme where it's like, I have questions. And the first one is, how come? And the second one is, why? Anyways, I need to get Waffle down from this dining room table because she's literally losing her mind. And I'll let you know what my final rating is. Oh, she's closing the book. Thanks, girl. Real nice. All right, welcome to a little Barnes & Noble haul. Yay! So, the first thing I got is Bunny by Mona Awad, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have this book in my possession. I went on a book buying ban in the beginning of July, so I haven't bought a book since early July, except for I just got my book of the month this month. So I told myself that this was going to be my reward when I bring my physical TBR down into the 50s, which I did. Then the next thing I got is this book. And I already forgot the name. I think it's The Red Queen. Uh-oh. Yes. It's called Red Queen. Honestly, I thought this book was beautiful, and that's why I bought it. I don't know what it's about, but hopefully it's good, because it's beautiful, and it shall stay in my collection forever now. Then this is what the old guy was making fun of me for. I got like a ton of bookmarks. So normally, like since I was little, my mom would take me to Barnes & Noble, and I would always buy like a stack of books, or I would make my mom buy me a stack of books. But I always used to love buying these like Peter Popper Press bookmarks, and I would always get like one for each book that I bought. However, it got to a point where like I would always buy them, and I basically had every one that was available. And so it's been like, honestly, I want to say years where like I go and maybe there's like one that I don't have max. But today I went and they had a bunch that I don't have. So I got 5 of them, which I'll show you now. So first I got this vintage library card looking one. Isn't it cute? I think this is my favorite one. It's so cute. Then I got this one that says, "This world is but canvas to our imaginations" by Henry David
thorough. So that's cute. And then it has these little eucalyptus and it's green. It's so cute. Then this one I got because it was really funny. It says, "Take me to your library," with a little alien. I'm obsessed. I love it. And then I got this one that says, and it's stuck, of course. That's cool. No problem. This one says, "Be happy." And I think this one is so cute because it matches with a mug I have. Okay, look at this. It says, "Be kind." And it has a little bee. It's so cute. So, obviously, you know, the vibes. Be kind, be happy. And the last bookmark I got is this little Paris window that I just thought was so cute. It's called Springtime in Paris, and I can't wait to read and look at the views because your girl has never been to Paris, so I can only dream. Finally. Finally, I finished the never-ending book. This book was 351 pages and it felt so much longer. That being said, it ended up being an okay book. Like, I wish it wasn't that long, okay? Because after graduation, then we also went to college and it was just a lot. It was a lot. It did not need to be 351 pages. Like, I probably would have cut out 100 pages from this and it would have been a lot better. I also think that the fact that the chapters were like 20 pages long was literally so unnecessary and I hated it. I've realized that I'm a short chapter kind of girl, which sucks because normally that's like thrillers and I feel like thrillers aren't usually well written. So yes, that is my opinion. I think that the book was like kind of funny and at some points it was very cringe with the language, like the very like what are we on? Gen X? I don't know. The generation in this book, their language is cringe. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this 2.5 stars because it was kind of meh. But also I was interested to find out what happened, but it wasn't quite something I would recommend. Unless you're like a very specific audience, like a very young audience. Yeah. Anyways, it is past 10 p.m. so we are officially done with 3 days. In this time, I read 4 books and like a fifth of one. So I read 247 pages of And Then There Were None. Then I read 245 pages of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, which is 492 pages. Then I read 351,000 pages of I Kissed Shara Wheeler, which came up to 893 pages. And then I read 110 pages of The Only One Left by Riley Sager, which comes down to 1,003 pages. Hopefully I'm doing that math correctly. I'm a book girl, not a math girl, so take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I guess that I will finish this book in the next one. But I will say that typically, so I do count the amount of pages that I read every day. I keep track of it in my journal. Let me show you, it's really cute. Look at her. I'm a fan. I'm a stan. I'm an ambassador. But yeah, I just like keep track of like how many pages I read every day. And I typically read about like 2,900 to like 3,200-ish per month. So the fact that I'm already at 1,000 and we're only 4
days into September, I think this is going to be probably one of my like most pages read ever. I actually, in April, I read 4,267 pages. So now the competitive nature in me has come out, and I feel like I must beat that now that I know. So we'll see. Stay tuned to find out. And I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, leave me a little kiss emoji for my good sis Shara Wheeler, who took up most of this video. And make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm so happy because in the last 24 hours, I've had like a little influx of you all subscribing. I don't know what made you do that, but hopefully I can keep doing what is making you all subscribe. So thank you for watching. Love you all, and I will see you when I see you next. Bye.